But let's start here. You cannot gauge a murder case by the sheer tonnage of the paper documents that it produces. But if you could, Idaho versus Kohberger really would be the trial of the century. Yet another metric ton of motions have just been filed or responded to, each one giving us another sneak peek at the main event, which is now less than 5 months away, the trial of Bryan Kohberger. We've been digging through all these documents throughout the day, and among the revelations is evidence tying the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, to the black balaclava mask that was spotted by a surviving housemate. The prosecutors say they have proof that Bryan Kohberger bought a black balaclava mask, quote, the same type of mask described by Dylan Mortensen, from a Dick's Sporting Goods store in January of 2022. That's about 8 months before the murders. And speaking of Dylan Mortensen, the defense is now attacking her description of a mask-wearing intruder with bushy eyebrows. The state says that is Kohberger she's describing. The defense says, well, that witness, that roommate, that surviving roommate, was influenced by the detectives on the case. And they point to the fact that she admits she was drunk that night when she saw a stranger walking past her bedroom door. For what that's worth. In the earlier filings, prosecutors brought up this. Yeah, this is Kohberger's purchase of a K-bar knife, which has never been found, and a knife sheath. That one matched the one found near 2 of the victims' bodies, and Kohberger's DNA, the state says, is on that knife sheath. But the defense now claims that his Amazon purchase and his browsing history that showed he bought a K-bar knife and bought a knife sharpener and bought a sheath, a K-bar sheath, well, the defense says that browsing history should be inadmissible because at the time he was living with his family and other users could have been doing the typing, searching, and the buying. They also say the knife and the sheath may have been part of a larger purchase with like camping supplies, including a tire inflator, a backpack, and bear spray. That is some good defense work right there. Because if you bought all those things, camping things, bear spray, tire inflator, backpack, and a K-bar knife in Pennsylvania, that would make sense. But if you can't produce that K-bar knife or the sheath or the sharpener, maybe not so much. Don't forget, he was also known to search, apparently according to the state, for a replacement knife and sheath. As for his medical conditions, we've got answers for that now, too. His lawyers say that his developmental coordination disorder makes it impossible for Kohberger to be able to slash 4 people to death in such a short period of time. And the state has an answer for that. That a doctor says Bryan's condition was a thing of the past, something that hasn't affected him for many, many years. And whatever he's got left is like the fine motor skills, you know, little things, not big things. I could go on, believe me, but I'm going to stop here and bring in the best resource I can think of in this story, and that is our own Brian Enton. Okay, Brian, let's start with the balaclava. Again, you know, I couldn't believe it. Today, documents showing that they have the receipts. The state has the receipts for the black balaclava from Dick's Sporting Goods. However, if I'm the defense, I'll say this is Idaho. It is freezing in Idaho, and lots of people wear these balaclavas. Oh, and P.S., he bought it in January, in winter in Pennsylvania. I guess that makes sense, but it's really going to have to be add this to the mountain of evidence and see how the jury feels about it.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point that the defense likely will make. There was another just mountain of documents that were released late today that you mentioned that we're still going through. Reading the footnotes, a lot of these new nuggets, these bombshell nuggets are sort of buried in the documents, including this latest about the balaclava, which, by the way, just to be honest, I didn't even know what a balaclava was. At first, I was thinking baklava, like the Greek food, but no, it is a mask. You see it on your screen. That's what it looks like. I'd similar to like something that we would wear skiing or that you'd wear on a very, very cold day. And the state got all of the records, got all of the shopping records, has the receipt from Dick's Sporting Goods, and says that Bryan Kohberger bought that on January 10th, 2022, 11 months before the murders. You mentioned it. He was still living in Pennsylvania, and that they plan to bring this in during the trial, Ashleigh.
So, you know, obviously question number one would be, that's fine if you bought the balaclava in Pennsylvania, or if your family bought the balaclava in Pennsylvania, show it. Where is it? You know, if they have a black balaclava in the, you know, things that they seized from his apartment in Washington, that would be one thing, but I never saw one on the manifest. Did you?
No, I do not remember seeing it on the manifest. Granted, a lot of new things continue to come out. It's possible that we just don't have that document because we didn't even know that the balaclava existed or was part of this until today with this latest document dump. I also think this is going to be really interesting, and I'm curious whether this comes up. Since he was living with his family, there's been talk of a shared Amazon account. So how are they going to prove who actually bought the mask? Because you mentioned, I mean, if you live in a cold climate, you know, could have been anyone in the family.
Sure, and I'm sure that anyone in the family wants to help his defense, more than likely, so just produce the balaclava. And oftentimes, Bryan, you know, detectives can do amazing things by matching certain fabrics with certain lots from that particular purchase. So they've got that purchase, they've got the information on it. Maybe they could go deep and find out if they do provide a balaclava, if it is the actual one that was purchased. I've seen that happen in trials before. And by the way, those are weird things to have. I never had one in my house until I married somebody who gets cold skiing and skis with one of those. But they are not every household has one of those, so they're unusual purchases. Speaking of that, go into that a little deeper, Bryan, that the fact that the defense will say Bryan Kohberger was living at home in Pennsylvania, and they were sharing, you know, Amazon purchases throughout the family. So you don't know who was doing the typing or doing the purchasing. And that would extend to the knife sheath, to the knife sharpener, right? And any other purchases that they find unusual.
And this may be one of the reasons we may see Bryan Kohberger's family members, his parents and sister, called as witnesses during the trial. This has been brought up in some of the documents. This may be the reason why. You know, there's been discussions in these documents that I've been going through about, well, if they get called as witnesses, they're not allowed to be in the courtroom before that. They may not be allowed to be in court during the trial because they're going to be witnesses. Why would they be witnesses? This could very well be the reason. The state may want to nail down, call them up under oath. Are you the one who ordered the knife? Are you the one who ordered the mask? And if they say no, process of elimination, they'll, you know, explain to the jury that it was actually Bryan Kohberger.
And also, I'll go one further, you know, Mr. Kohberger, where's the knife? Mrs. Kohberger, where's the knife and the sheath? Sister of Bryan Kohberger, where is the knife sharpener, if any of you lived in the same house and were purchasing off the same computer? I think we're well past those days, though, for many people, where you're sharing a household computer. Most of us have our own accounts and our own computers. But I will give the defense that it's just produce the things that suddenly don't exist, that if a family member bought, I'm sure they would still have, you know, 11 months later. Okay, another question for you, and that is that the defense wants some of the, well, I think the entire eyewitness testimony thrown out, right, from Dylan Mortensen. There's a couple of things. They say that the witness was drunk. They say it was dark. I've seen lots of cases that happen in the dark. And that millions of people have bushy eyebrows, and that her characterization of a witness with bushy eyebrows shouldn't count. This was interesting, though, and I didn't know about this, and maybe you could explain it. They say that the detectives influenced Dylan's memories about the eyebrows and the balaclava. What's that about?
Yeah, and that's what they're saying. And let me just tell you that because I read all of the filings, many of this back and forth is because the defense wants basically everything thrown out, it feels like, and they are trying everything they can and seeing what sticks. So I wouldn't read into it too much that they're trying to get Dylan's testimony thrown out, but they are saying, and she did several interviews, so it's a little confusing. It's not like she just talked to police one time, but the defense is claiming that it was police who introduced the bushy eyebrows first, and that then she went along with that. We don't know whether that's really true. And in terms of this mask, this balaclava, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. That's how I think you say it. They are claiming that they also told her about the mask first, and then she went along with the mask, so that basically she may have been coaxed into saying those things. We haven't been able to listen to the interviews. Again, there were multiple. We haven't been able to see the full transcripts, so we don't really know whether or not that's totally true.
You are saying balaclava, right? You are definitely showing the fact that you're from Florida. The rest of us live with those things from Canada. But it was interesting. We just had up on the screen what looked like a piece of paper with a drawing on it, a very rudimentary drawing. I'm going to ask our control room to put that back up on the screen. This is apparently Dylan's drawing of the mask that she said she saw him wearing. And as rudimentary as it is, it sure looks a heck of a lot like the balaclava that we were showing earlier as well. It looks exactly like that. So I don't know if the detectives coached her to draw that, but if she drew that before they mentioned balaclava, I think the defense has a tough row to hoe there, because that looks a lot like it. You know, even in your terrified state, if you're drawing that, that looks a lot like it. So the other thing, I was so fascinated when the defense brought up all these developmental disorders they say Bryan Kohberger has, OCD, autism, and then this other one, developmental coordination disorder. That's a DCD, developmental coordination disorder. And the defense made great hay about saying, you know, Bryan's got this. He can't possibly have the coordination or speed to be able to pull off the kind of murder that happened in that house. I mean, it was all of about 20 minutes or so, and they did the test. The police did the test. They parked, they ran from the car, they went through the house, they mimicked what the murders must have been like, and then they ran from the house and, you know, pretended to get rid of all the bloody clothes and get back in the car, all in the prescribed time frame. And the defense said his condition makes it impossible for him to be able to do that. And then came the state's response to that. Take it away, Bryan.
Yeah, and let me just read you this response, because I think it's worth just reading word for word. I jotted it down here. This is what the state is saying, that the expert that the Kohberger team said in relation to all this. To the extent defendant currently has any motor impairment, even according to his own expert, it affects only his fine motor dexterity and vulnerabilities in visual motion functions. The examples she uses for fine motor dexterity include when he had poor handwriting and trouble tying his shoes in the past. So the state is saying, wait a minute. All of a sudden, you have brought in all of this evidence that he's on the autism spectrum, that he's got OCD, that he's got developmental coordination disorder, something we hadn't heard anything about until recently. What does that really have to do with anything? And they're saying even your own expert is saying that is saying that it wouldn't have impacted whether or not he would have been capable of these murders.
Yeah, that sounded like the air going out of a balloon, for the defense pretty darn quickly. Fine motor skills, picking up something tiny and putting it into a little bottle. Gross motor skills, jamming a knife into 4 people very quickly and running from room to room. And there didn't seem to be any problems with his gross motor skills. Bryan, great job. Thank you. I really appreciate you breaking that down. Keep your eyes out, because those documents seem to drop at the most inopportune times. We appreciate this.
Yeah. Thanks, Ash.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.